So this weekend just gone, Hamas did their extreme sport terrorist attack on Israel. And it's a big thing in the news. And as far as I can gather, it's going to be Israel's 9/11. And when something big happens in the news, it's pretty obvious when the story breaks. You're like, holy shit, this is the start of something really big. And I guess where my mind immediately goes to is you're interested in terms of how this story is going to unfold. You're like, what's the escalation going to be? There's a tendency to catastrophize a little bit. The George Carlin thing, where it's like, I kind of like it when a lot of people die. That vibe, you're like, holy shit, is this World War III? So you kind of wonder where the story's going to go, the narrative path, but then you also wonder which people are going to really embarrass themselves on social media by posting uneducated hot takes. And I'm extending this from celebrities down to the lowly, crazy uncle and aunts on Facebook. The No one's immune from this type of stupidity. That they want to kind of they're either been like stewing on an Israel Palestine hot take for years, and it's taken this flashpoint for them to kind of realize like, now's my moment, now's my chance to shine. Maybe they've been a crackpot for years, and it's been one of their standard bits, standard chunks in their routine. And so now it's like, oh, okay, it's my time to shine. Or maybe they've just read some hot take from someone else and they've put it through their own reality goggles, man, and decided to post something. So yeah, it's always something I look forward to. Because I kind of think that no one is really in a position to kind of like to when something happens and then someone gets on YouTube and says this is what we should do next. It's like, who the fuck are you? Even the academics or people who seemingly have been studying things for years, the best ones always seem to couch their recommendations in some form of like context. They're like, well, this is just my specific area of expertise, like this might happen or this might happen, like any type of rhubarb or extra mayonnaise on recommendations just comes across as complete fabricated bullshit. That anyone has any idea of the intricacy and complexity of the modern world, and that they have the solutions or could look into the crystal ball and understand the ramifications of what one action will lead to the next, blah, blah, blah. Like before this happened, I bet no one thought that the Israeli defense forces would miss this type of attack. And sure enough, it happens because they were caught lacking, yo. And here we are. So the ones that I've seen who've jumped in on the event immediately, the first guy I noticed was Patrick Bet David, who, by the way, I don't think anyone in the world has more of a grimy used car salesman energy as old mate PBD. But seemingly he's got like somewhat some type of fucking credibility. Like so he did that fucking you're a genius, let me ask you questions on a stage in front of a room full of people thing with Tom Brady. But Tom Brady just seems like he'll do anything for a buck. So I don't know how much credibility he has. But anyway, PBD was the first one where it was like, all right, emergency podcast. So he's one. One embarrassing one, I saw that Jamie Lee Curtis, who I think she's a bleeding heart lefty, like most of the Hollywood types are. She posted something where it was like attack from the skies, and then dumped an Israeli flag on there. So I guess it's weird with this type of issue where it's like a lot of the lefties, just the straight up and down lefties, will if you're in Hollywood, you kind of like you stand with Israel, and then you got to be like a hardcore, legit, actual lefty to be like a pro-Palestinian person. So she was like attack from the skies Israeli flag emoji on Instagram, and the accompanying photo was actually of Palestinian children taking shelter from an Israeli attack from, I don't know, from sometime in the past. So she'd used the wrong side. Get your sides mixed up, Jamie. Oi, Jamie, you fucked it up, man. So she just took that down without explanation. So that was a goodie. That was just a quickie where it's like, yep, you screwed up. And then she didn't want to do an apology, probably didn't need to, but either way, good laugh. And then of course, uh the other one that I saw, and this probably comes of no surprise, but the Tate bros. What's his name? The fucking OG daddy, Top G baby, and the hair plugged brother were emergency podcast. Got to get in the car, talk about Israel Palestine. So they did some type of emergency podcast. To their credit, I think that there was something where they organized like some aid. So they either did it themselves or contributed um some dinners to people, like some fucking food for the civilians and kids caught up in this shit at the moment. Who knows whether that's true? I skimmed all this stuff. You guys know I don't read. So anyway, if that's the case, well, at least they're doing something as opposed to the armchair activism, which most people do. But they were definitely doing some type of, let's get some clicks, and then, oh, by the way, I'm holding a webinar in five. They sound like they're from the fucking West Country. They sound like they're Gimli at this point. I don't have a good Tate Bros impression. Getting the Bugatti. Yeah, they'll definitely be dropping little sprinkles of, like, if you want to be an OG daddy, just like me and hair plugs, let's yeah, sign up here. Send me $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, and then you can be just like me in a Bugatti. But yeah, it's interesting with this type of stuff because my personal perspective is like I feel like I'm in the mob where you don't rat on your friends, you don't say anything. They're the kind of the rules. Or you don't say of anything that you actually mean on the internet. Come on, bros. That's rule Ichiban rule numero uno. Um, yeah, I just think it's like, even if you were an ultimate authority on something, it had been your life's work. How you roll out of bed in the morning is going to impact your how you feeling about something. And so I just keep it zipped. And the one thing I did do proactively from reading this, and this is a shout out to the Red Scare subreddit, which just cracked 100,000 follows on Reddit, which I believe is kind of the glass ceiling for some type of subreddit until it gets shut down. Well, not shut down, but just like too many normies are in there, and then it turns into a cesspit, and then eventually dies. So I think it's probably jumped the shark now. But anyway, someone in that was talking about some topic of this ilk, saying that, like, no one really knows what's actually happening with Israel Palestine. I certainly don't know. But there was like this little mini thread happening, and then they were talking about, there's a great podcast called the Martyr Made podcast, and they did this series. It's the very beginning of that podcast. Been listening to it over the weekend. It is called Fear and Loathing in New Jerusalem, and it's kind of like a hardcore history type of show where each episode, this Fear and Loathing in New Jerusalem series, is like a 6-part series. Each episode is like, wow, some of them, damn. The first one I listened to was 2.5 hours, but then some of them are 5.5 hours. So it seems like quite a commitment, but that's really good. That's kind of going back to the origins of Zionism and like going back to the beginning, this Dan Carlin-esque dude is yeah, talking about how it all kicked off in the beginning. So that's the one thing I've done, and I'm slowly making my way through that. I'm listening to, it's one of those podcasts where I'm listening to it as I go to sleep. So setting the old sleep timer to 45 minutes and catching about 7.5 minutes of it and then I fall asleep and then wake up with the AirPods embedded in my skull at 3 in the morning. And I've missed, 80% of what I was intending to listen to, but so I'm having to go back and go through it real slowly. But yeah, I'm slowly kind of learning a little bit about it. So yeah, still not in a position to comment on anything, nor will I ever be. Don't rant your friends. Don't say nothing. Keep it real. Catch you on the next one. Bye.